Yeah. Now we're here.
And 1 day. 1 year.
Oh, really?
That's funny.
Turn that on, don't you?
But in terms of actual.
All right. Brenda, you ready? All right, the court is going to call 2022 CR 9260, State of Texas versus Richard Anthony Montez. Can I have parties announced for the record for the state?
James Ishimoto for the state.
And John Pence also.
All right, for the defense.
Orlando Castellon for defense.
And Kelly Fiddle.
And the court will note that Mr. Montez is in the courtroom. The court is in receipt of a motion that's been filed for the defense. It's titled Motion to Set Aside the Indictment for Failure to Afford Constitutional Right to a Speedy Trial. State, are you prepared to proceed?
State's right.
All right, defense, it's your motion. If you want opening statements, you're more than welcome. If you want to just proceed, and then I will allow both sides to do closing statements to set a record.
Sure, Judge. Just a brief opening. Judge, this case is a February 3rd, 2018 offense state. Mr. Montez has spent over.
Oh, please. So everyone, please be seated because that makes it easier for Brenda to hear. I don't see that as any sign of disrespect. It's just easier for all of the equipment to pick up.
Sure, Judge. Mr. Montez has spent over 3 years in the Bexar County Jail on this case. We were set on April 28th of 2022 on our last setting, and on that date, the court set the case for trial for August 2nd, 2022. In between April 28th and August 2nd, evidence you'll hear from in this hearing is that the state only subpoenaed one witness for this case. When we appeared on August 1st, the state filed an unsworn motion for continuance in which it listed 3 witnesses that were not available to testify in this case, none of which were subpoenaed. We believe that the evidence will show that the state and the prosecutor Miguel Nahara was intending to go to trial in another court and to block this case from going, and that as a result, he was not ready, he was not prepared for this case, and the state of Texas was not prepared. The court correctly denied their unsworn motion for continuance, and the state dismissed the case, telling the court on August 1st, 2022, that they were going to re-indict the case. And some months later, they did with a different indictment. that is not identical to the one from the 2018 CR 4785B. And Mr. Montez is back in jail on this case. He has suffered irreparable harm as a result of being incarcerated alone due to the delay of this case being more than 4.5 years old. And he has suffered harm in the loss of witness contact, which will have Clinton Pablo testify to in just 1 minute. And we believe that after you hear the evidence that you should grant a motion for speed trial, dismiss the case for failure to afford a speed trial.
All right, any opening from the state?
Judge, we'll address that at the end.
All right. Defense, do you have any witnesses you wish to call?
Yes, Clinton Pablo, Judge.
All right, if you'll take the witness stand, please. Could you raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, so if you can make sure you speak up so that the court reporter can hear and so that everyone else can hear you, please.
Sure.
And if you would state your name for the record and spell it.
Clinton Edward Pablos. Last name is P as in Papa, O, V like in Victor, Lish.
All right, and just so previous witness who come and testify, know that Brenda doesn't like it when you do the Alpha Victor. So just spell it.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I know military, that's the way you all do it. All right, defense.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Pablo, how are you employed, sir?
I'm currently a private investigator with Linus Investigations.
Okay, and Linus Investigations is the investigator that was appointed to assist in the case for Richard Montez, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And as part of your work in this case, it was your job to not only investigate, but also subpoena witnesses and make contact with witnesses.
Yes, sir.
And were you ever able to make contact with two individuals by the name of Henry Adame and Ever Verdugo?
No, sir.
Okay. And were subpoenas issued for those individuals?
Yes, sir.
Were you ever able to serve those?
No, sir.
You were never able to find them?
No, sir. I was not.
And as part of your investigation, were you able to interview a Margarito Bajil?
No, sir.
Why is that?
I contacted a Mr. Gomez at the residence that he had. He's a relative, and he said Mr. Bahil had passed away 2 years prior.
Were you ever able to interview Margarito Bajil in relation to this case?
No, sir.
My approach witness?
Yes.
Mr. Pablo, I'm showing you it's from Marta's Defense Exhibit 1. Do you recognize that document? Or are you familiar with it?
Yes, sir. It's from the clerk's office, Bexar County Clerk's Office. It's a list of the issued and served subpoenas.
Okay. And your company, Linus Consulting that you work for, you were the ones who served the defense subpoenas in this case.
Yes, sir.
And I see it real quick, sir. In 2022, how many subpoenas were drafted in relation to this case?
According to this, there's 14.
And how many of those were defense subpoenas?
I believe all but one.
Okay. And what was the one subpoena that was not a defense subpoena?
I believe that's Detective Hines.
Okay. So out of the 13 out of the 14 subpoenas that were drafted and issued in 2022 for this case, only one of them was a state subpoena.
That I'm aware of.
Okay. For Detective Hines?
Yes.
Okay. And thank you, sir. Is this, let me ask you, is this, you're familiar with what this document is and how you are able to obtain it from the district clerk's office?
Yes, sir.
And it's part of the case and can be gained from the district clerk's office to show the subpoenas that were drafted in this case?
Yes, sir.
We move to admit Defense Exhibit 1 for purposes of this hearing only.
Any objections? All right, defense exhibit number 1 is admitted.
Turn to the court.
Yes. Thank you.
We pass the witness, sir.
Defense?
Publish, you were asked questions about the subpoena list.
Yes, sir.
Were you aware that in regards to SAPD officers, that they are generally not subpoenaed for trial?
I've seen officers subpoenaed before, sir.
Okay, but that's been in the past.
Yes, sir.
Have you noticed in the past couple of years that they have not been subpoenaed?
No, I have not.
All right, you're not aware that's the regular practice now with the DA's office, right? They don't subpoena witnesses.
No, sir, I'm not. Not aware.
It has something to do with the contracts between SAPD and Bear County.
I'm not aware of that, sir.
So the fact that they haven't been subpoenaed doesn't mean that they're not available or they can't be available for trial.
I suppose so, yes.
Now, you also testified that Mr. Margarito Vigil had passed away, as far as you know.
That's for what I was told, sir.
That is, you are aware that he was a friend of the deceased, of one of the deceased, Mr. Benito Gallegos.
I believe so, yes.
So his testimony would not have been beneficial to the defense.
That I do not know.
You did read the police report, right?
Yes, sir.
Then you know that he made accusations against the defense.
Yes, sir.
And as far as you know, were Henry Adame and Ever Verdugo, were they eyewitnesses to the crime?
They were, yes, sir. I believe they were.
They weren't, they didn't come in later? Were they witnesses to the shooting, as far as you know?
I believe it was Mr. Adame that said he saw people. He had seen people shooting from a vehicle. Believe that.
And you were kind of brief in terms of your efforts to find them. What efforts did you make to find them?
Sir, we, one of the investigator, Jeff Nelson, contacted by phone, Mr. Verdugo and Mr. Adame. Talked very briefly. We tried to meet with them. They provided an address. I have been by that address multiple times. Mr. Adame provided an address on, it was Frio City Road that doesn't exist. It's in the 1000 block. He said it was, I believe, 1010 Frio City Road. And on that side of the street is railroad tracks. And I could not find an apartment complex in that area.
So it's fair to say that you were able to talk to both witnesses, correct?
I did not. Officer Nelson did on the phone, short interview.
You've just not been able to serve them yet.
No.
But they are around somewhere.
Unknown. I have been to multiple, we did an online query. I've been to several addresses, talked to several people, made phone calls to different numbers associated with, and have not been able to locate him.
But the gist of it is you have been able to, you or someone that works with you has been able to contact them. You just have not been able to serve them.
Exactly.
Past witness.
Defense?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Pablo, can I see defense exhibit one more time?
Yes. And the court has read defense exhibit number 1, so you may tender it to the court reporter after you finish.
Yes, ma'am. My first witness,
Yes.
Mr. Pablo, Can you take a look at that and tell me if you see the name of Sotero Gabara Jr. as a subpoenaed witness?
No, I do not see that here.
What about Robert Bunnell?
Last name?
Bunnell, Bunnell.
No, sir.
Okay, and lastly, Curtis Coolidge.
No. Sir.
And those were, okay, thank you, sir. Are you aware if Detective Bunnell is still active SAPD or if he's retired?
I do not know, sir.
Are you aware if Curtis Coolidge is still active SAPD or if he is retired?
No, sir.
If you want someone to appear in court, regardless of whether they are a uniformed officer, retired or not, you can subpoena them, correct?
True, sir.
So the defense had asked you to interview and to subpoena Henry Adame, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that's because he stated in the prosecution guide to the detectives that he witnessed Andres Martinez shoot a 40mm firearm. He heard that.
I believe that's what it was. I'd have to look at the report.
Pass.
Defense.
Sir, you were asked questions about, first of all, Sergeant Coolidge. The fact that he wasn't served, that doesn't mean that the state has not had contact with him, correct?
No, sir.
Were you aware that we have had contact with him?
No, sir.
The fact that he hasn't been subpoenaed is irrelevant. He is making contact.
Okay, sir.
I guess you're also asked questions about Robert Bunnell being retired. And sort of, I guess your line of questioning is sort of questioning as to whether or not Mr. Nahara had been truthful, but you don't know if we've had contact with him either, correct?
No, sir.
Okay. I mean, you're just speculating.
I don't know these people, sir.
Fine. Past witness.
Mr. Pablo, if a case was set on April 28th and the next trial date in which we're going to go to trial is in August, you could issue that subpoena May 1st, anytime in May, and serve it on an individual, and then they can't leave. They're under the subpoena of the court. Is that correct?
I believe so, sir. Yes.
So if they had a vacation planned, they can't go because they are under subpoena and have to be here.
I believe so. Yes.
Thank you. Pass witness.
Were you aware that both people have been retired from SAP?
No, sir.
I'm sorry, one of them had been retired from SAP.
No, sir.
Mr. Coolidge.
No, sir.
Past witness.
No further questions. Sir.
All right. May this witness step down? And is this witness excused?
Excuse from the defense.
No objection.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'll call your next witness.
You call Richard Montez, Judge.
All right, Mr. Montez, if you'll take a seat here, please.
Judge, we call him limited to the relevance of this hearing in regards to the factors of what.
All right, have a seat, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
All right, state your name for the record.
Richard Anthony Montez.
Yes. All right, defense.
Mr. Montez, you were arrested on this case in February of 2018, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you remained in custody for over 90 days before this case was originally indicted, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you remained there in custody until December of 2019, is that right?
Yes, sir.
After that, or during that time in December, were you aware that the state of Texas had recused themselves and an attorney pro tem had been appointed?
I did not at the time until I was brought to court.
Okay. And during 2019, you filed some motions, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And one of those motions was a request for speedy trial, is that correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
Okay. And was it your intention that this case go to trial?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I asked the court to take a judicial notice of the clerk's record indicating that there was a motion. We cannot get a certified copy from the court.
State.
No objection.
And so in 2020, the pandemic hit, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In all cases, all trials shut down, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then you were subsequently rearrested again in June of 2020 on a violation, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that violation was based upon an offense that has subsequently been dismissed, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Now, you were appointed originally a counsel who withdrew and reappointed Oscar Cantu as your first chair on this case, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And subsequently to his appointment, I was appointed in July of 2020, to your knowledge, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. During that time, we weren't able to go to trial, were we?
No, sir, we weren't.
And is that a fault of anyone here?
No.
However, there were some issues regarding discovery, is that right, to your knowledge?
Yes, sir, there was.
And there was other co-defendants involved in this case, and your case was set with those other two defendants, is that right?
Yes, sir.
During your time awaiting trial, were you ever given a plea deadline?
No.
Were you ever given a time to accept an offer, or we would move forward to trial?
No, sir.
Did you ever reject any state offers?
No, sir. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Okay.
One time.
And so were you given an offer?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
And you rejected that offer?
Yes, sir.
And we were ordered to go to trial in December of 2021, is that right?
Yes, sir. That's right.
And the courts opened back up sometime in August of 2021. Is that right? Actually,
Yes, and
they opened up sometime that summer. We were set in August to go to trial in December, to your knowledge.
yes, sir. Something. I can't remember exactly when it was, but yes.
Now, in between that time, Mr. Cantu passed away.
Yes, sir. He did.
And he was the first chair in that case.
Yes.
And subsequently, Mr. Piddle was appointed on this case in November. Is that right?
He was. Yes, sir.
Okay. And at that point, trial was postponed so we could ready for trial.
Yes, sir.
And so in February, we filed motions on this case. Is that right?
Yes, sir. We did.
And we had a hearing in regards to those motions and some agreements to your knowledge.
Yes.
And in that, we were requesting certain information and discovered there was some discovery missing. You recall that?
Yes, sir. I do.
And subsequently, we then had a hearing to confirm that all discovery had finally been complete as of April. Is that right?
No, I don't remember that exact date, but yes, sir. Yes, sir. I remember that.
Yes, sir. Okay. Now, that case was set for trial in April 28 for August of this year. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
During that time, how long had you been in custody?
Altogether, about a month, 3 years and 11 months altogether.
And so during that time in custody, obviously there's even further freedoms when you're in jail.
Yes,
And in fact, you're in red, is that right?
yes, sir.
And is that because of the nature of this offense?
Yes, sir.
And what does that mean to be in red?
Well, we're supposed to be only let out for an hour a day, but the way things go, sometimes we won't come out for 32 hours. And they shut things down because they're short of staff. We don't get to get our reg, we don't get our phone calls, and we get to a lot of things, you know.
And so you're not able to communicate with family.
No, sir.
You're not able to see the sunlight.
No, sir.
You're not able to have physical exercise outside of that cell.
No, sir.
How big is that cell?
Probably 10 by 8, if that.
What impact has that had on your mental health?
It's messed me up it's a lot. You know, this is a lot. It's depressing. It's discouraging. And a lot of things. I mean, when I got out, I didn't feel right. I feel people staring at me, and just it's taking a real big toll on me.
Now, when you've been in custody, have you lost loved ones?
Yes, sir, I did. I lost my grandmother and my grandfather.
Were you able to attend their funerals?
No, sir, I was not.
Do you have children?
Yes, sir, I do.
Been able to see those kids while you were in custody?
No, sir, I haven't.
Were you, in fact, seeking custody prior to this case of your children?
Yes, sir, I was.
And tell me a little bit about that.
I was in the process of trying to go back into child support battle to gain custody of my daughter. She was going through things at her house. Her family thought it was best for her to come with me because the things that were taking place there. She moved in with me. She was staying with me for a while. And when this took place, she was taken back to her family, and she was molested, due to being taken away from me.
And you weren't there to protect her.
No, sir, I was not.
And even after this case was dismissed in August, you suffered mentally from this case.
Yes, sir.
Do you continue to suffer now?
Yes, sir, I do.
Are you currently incarcerated?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you currently in segregation?
Yes, sir, I am.
Are you aware that witnesses have been difficult to find?
Yes. Sir.
Judge, we just would like to offer state defense exhibit 2. It's the event log of the court, subject to
No
state.
objection.
All right, then.
This is for purposes of the record of events in this case.
All right, thank you. Defense exhibit number 2 is admitted without objection.
Pass the witness, Judge.
State,
Montez, you were arrested in February of 2018, correct?
Yes, sir.
I guess in January or 29th, or you filed a pro se motion to dismiss for lack of speedy trial, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you didn't actually ask for a trial at that point, correct?
I don't remember what date it was, but I did ask for one.
You
Yes, I
asked to
did. I
dismiss-
filed.
Hold on. You asked to dismiss the case for lack of speedy trial. There's a difference.
No, I filed for a speedy trial.
You are aware that your attorney at the time was Mr. Oscar Cantu?
I believe when I filed, I was with David Woodard. I believe I was with David Woodard still, and I could be mistaken on that, but
So you're not really sure who your lawyer was?
no, I don't remember.
Now, you are aware, I guess they asked you earlier about that there were discovery issues, correct?
Yes, sir.
That the defense attorneys wanted to make sure that they had everything. All right,
I'm sorry.
that your attorney and the other defense attorneys wanted to make sure that they had everything, correct? Discovery
I
wise.
believe it was on both sides. Yes, sir.
And were you aware that the case was reset numerous times for the defense to try to make sure that they had everything. Right.
I do know that it was reset a few times. Yes, sir.
And essentially, there wasn't anything new that came up from all these resets in terms of discovery, anything significant, I mean.
I think there was a lot of significance in it. I don't think it would have happened if it wasn't.
Well, you don't know, correct? I mean, I understand that you're sort of speculating at this point. Well, I mean, what specifically was important that was not turned over?
I don't have access to those files. Bexar County doesn't allow us a lot of things, especially being in red.
And I understand that, but I mean, it's fair to say that there wasn't anything significant that wasn't turned over.
Once again, I wouldn't know. I'm not allowed access to those things, even when I ask.
And I
They deny us
understand,
a lot of things.
and the case was reset multiple times just to make sure that they have everything. I mean, you are aware of that
I believe it was,
before the pandemic.
I believe it was part of the state's fault in that too.
Now, you were released on a PR bond in November of 2019, correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
I'm sorry, December 7th
Second.
of 2019. You're released on a PR bond. Does that sound right?
December 2nd, I believe, first. I know it was in December. I don't remember
Of
exactly.
2019.
Yes, sir.
And so you were out in the free world at that time?
Yes, sir.
Now, you went back in jail because you were arrested again in June of 2000. I think it was 2000, is that right? 2020?
2019, 20. Yes, 20, yes.
And that was because of, without going into specifics, the fact that you had been arrested and accused of doing something you weren't supposed to.
Yes, there were allegations made. Yes, sir.
And up to that point, you had been out on a PR bond.
Yes, I was.
And so would you agree with me, the fact that you got put back in jail was a result of, I guess, your own behavior, whatever that behavior was?
No, there were false allegations made and it was dismissed later because of those false allegations.
Now, in 2020, this was the same time, I guess, the pandemic kicked in, correct?
Yes, sir.
So while the defense wanted to make sure that they had all the discovery, there was a pandemic and juries shut down. Were you aware of that?
Yes, sir.
And my understanding, and would you agree with me, that juries did not resume on a regular basis until March of this year, 2022?
Yes, but I also know that doesn't stop people from being able to do their jobs on.
Okay, but that's not my question, okay?
Okay.
Were you aware that juries resumed on a regular basis in March of 2022?
Yes, sir.
So in the beginning, you got out on a PR bond. There's some discovery issues where the defense wanted to make sure that they have everything, and then the pandemic hit, correct? Would you agree with me so far?
I believe it was both sides they were looking for.
Both sides.
Not just the defense, state and.
What did you think the state needed?
I'm gonna object to relevance in this point, Judge.
No, that'll be overruled.
What did you think the state needed?
I don't know, just going by what I was hearing. Like I said, I don't have access to that information, to those files, even when I ask.
Now, as I said, you would agree with me that juries resumed in March of 2022, but unfortunately, your attorney, Mr. Oscar Cantu, had passed away earlier, correct?
Yes, sir.
No objections.
If I may approach.
Yes.
I'm gonna offer State Exhibit 1. There's no objection.
All right, no objection to State's Exhibit number 1.
No objections, Judge.
All right, then State's Exhibit number 1 is admitted without objection.
You are aware, according to the obituary from State Exhibit 1, that your attorney Oscar Cantu had passed away on September the 26th of 2021.
I do know he passed, but I don't know what date it was, but yes.
And that was before juries opened up on March of 2022, correct?
As I said, I don't know the date, so I can't say yes or no.
And were you aware at that time with Mr. Cantu passing that your attorney, Mr. Orlando Castellon, was the second chair in that case, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then he was elevated essentially to a first chair, where now he was the one primarily responsible.
I believe so. Yes, I believe.
And are you aware that he asked for assistance and that's how Mr. Kelly Piddle came in?
Yes,
And you are aware that when Mr. Cantu passed away in September of 2021, they needed time to get ready on their own,
yes, sir. I do understand. Yes,
right? Because it wasn't as simple as just showing up. I mean, with Mr. Cantu passing, they asked the court for more time to prepare.
yes,
And there was a lot of stuff that they needed to prepare.
yes,
So it's fair to say that when Mr. Cantu passed in September of 2021, that your defense was not ready at that point. Correct?
they were. Well, I'm sorry, I didn't
They
understand.
weren't ready for trial
On August 1st,
on September of 2021.
September 1st. Oh, yes,
In fact, they needed time to get ready and the court gave them time to get ready.
yes.
And are you aware, sort of in the entire interim from 2018 to the present, has there ever been a time where your defense has ever came to court and said, look, we are prepared and ready to go to trial today? That's never happened, correct?
To my knowledge, we've been ready every time.
Have you ever heard them come into court and announce that they've been ready? And that they've looked at all the discovery and they're prepared to go to trial that day?
I mean,
That's never happened. Has it?
I mean, there's a lot that I don't know. I don't have access to things. I sit back and I just allow y'all to do what y'all do. I mean, am I allowed to speak, Your Honor?
To the questions that are asked. You're welcome.
I pass witness.
Defense?
Again, this case was originally set in August, I'm sorry, it was set in April of 2022, is that right?
If I remember correctly, yes.
And you were asking for trial at that point.
Yes, sir.
And we came into court in August of 2022 and announced ready, is that right?
Ready, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
In fact, it was the state who announced not ready.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you were rearrested, what was your bond placed at? Or set at?
On this time,
Well, in 2020, when you were arrested on a violation,
$1 million.
$1 million.
It's the same. Yes,
Were you
sir.
able to make that bond?
No, sir.
Did you ever ask the court to reinstate your PR bond?
Yes.
Was that motion granted?
No, sir, it was not.
You passed the witness.
Now, when we were in court in April of 2022, in April 2022 was by Zoom court, was it not, as far as you know?
I believe so.
And that's when the court wanted to make sure with the defense that they have everything, all the discovery, whatever it is, and that they were ready to go to trial in August.
I know there was a lot of issues with the state not having things ready
There were issues with your defense needing time to get ready,
because the state wasn't giving them the files that we needed.
right? So what files were they not given?
I'm just going by what I remember hearing, sir.
Because you're just saying whatever it is you want to say.
No, I'm saying what I was hearing.
And so I just want to be clear, the April date was a date in 2022 was a date for the defense to make sure they have everything and that they would be ready in terms of their August date. Not for trial in April, it was for August. As far as you know, correct?
I do not remember.
Fair to say. I pass witness.
We have no further questions, Jim.
All right, you may step down. Defense, any other witnesses?
We have no other witnesses, Jim.
State any witnesses?
No witnesses, Judge. We just asked the court to take judicial notice of the court's file, and I think they've already done that with their exhibit. But the reasons for the reset, we asked the court to take judicial notice of the pandemic, the availability of the jury panels that resumed in March of 2022, the fact that Mr. Cantu had passed away in September 2021.
All right, any objections of the court taking judicial notice of the court's file?
I had no objection, Judge.
All right, just so both parties are aware, according to the criminal docket sheet that is located in the court's file, and the court is reviewing when this case was indicted as 2018 CR 4785B. Is that also what both parties are asking the court to take judicial notice of as well?
Yes, Judge.
Yes, Judge.
Right.
I'd also ask that you take judicial notice of the current indictment as well.
Yes, and any objection?
No objection.
All right. And under 2018 CR 4785B, this is what the court has as listed on its docket sheet. June 17, 2019, motion to withdraw was granted. So he had an attorney. That attorney filed a motion to withdraw. There were no objections for that attorney's withdrawal. And it states defendant is to hire an attorney, recall for Monday, June 24, 2019. And on that day, according to the court's notes, defense attorney Oscar Cantu was appointed, and attorney Nahara was the pro tem. And then the court had a discovery date of December 2nd, 2019. But in the interim, there was a request that was granted for all the co-defendants for a PR bond, because legally the court was required to grant a PR bond. And that was done on November 22nd, 2019, with several conditions in place. Then on December 2nd, 2019, there was a discovery compliance, and it was going to be recalled for January 10th. At that time, the pro tems were to let the court know whether or not they were seeking the death penalty on the cases. We came back on January 10th, 2020. And again, we were going to come back on February 14th. Again, discovery acknowledgement was going to be due at that time. And again, the state was to make a decision on whether or not the death penalty was going to be sought. On February 14, 2020, we were reset to February 28, 2020 for discovery compliance. No problem. On February 28, 2020, it was discovery compliance, and it was going to be recalled for March 6th because there were some issues with the hard drive. The court was informed that there was too much information in a hard drive. Then we came back on June 29, 2020 for a discovery hearing and the acknowledgement of discovery. Then on July 23, 2020, we had another discovery hearing. And I was told that the state was in compliance and the acknowledgement of discovery was going to be due on July 31st. And the offer was going to be due on August 14th. And we were coming back on July 27th also for the state to make an announcement on death penalty. On July 27th, the state stated that they would not seek the death penalty, and the court gave a plea deadline date of August 31st, 2020. And then that plea deadline date was extended when we had our hearing on December 3rd, 2020. And that plea deadline date was extended to January 29th. Then on January 29th, according to this, Attorney Cantu was not present. So it was going to be recalled. And then on May 9th, the court gave a new plea deadline date, and that plea deadline date was for May 17th, 2021. And everyone was going to be here at 11 a.m. On May 17th, the plea deadline date was expired. And it was recalled for May 28th, 2021. And the reason why it was recalled, there was some issue with some passwords. And I believe those passwords were related to some sort of medical reports. And so it was recalled for June 14th to see if the passwords were obtained and if people were able to see medical. Then it was recalled for July 24th, 2021 for a jury trial at 9 a.m. And then we came back on that July 24th date, and it was reset for December 7th. And on the June 24th, 2021, it was reset for December 7th. And then on June 29th, 2021, there was a request from the defense for a motion to set bond or give a PR bond, and that was denied. Then on June 29th, we also said the trial is going to be December 7th. And both parties came in on December 9th. And the court gave another plea deadline date because I believe a new offer was tendered. And of course, with these offers, the court is not aware of the offers. The court just requires plea deadline dates in this court. And so that plea deadline date was set for February 21st. And the parties came in on February 23rd. And then on March 16th related to the defense. And then on March 28th, there was another discovery on Monday, and it's going to be recalled for April 18, 2022. And the state was giving a new firearms report. And then on April 18th, we came back. It was recalled for motions and make sure that the firearms report was tendered. Then on April 28th, it was called for August 2nd for a jury trial. At that time, the state filed a motion for continuance. I believe the defense objected to the motion for continuance. The motion for continuance was denied. And then the state filed a motion to dismiss. The court asked defense if they had any objections to the motion to dismiss. And the defense said they did not have any objections to the motion to dismiss. And the court signed the motion to dismiss. So at this point, the court will hear argument. Defense, it's your motion, so you can proceed first.
I'll remain seated, Judge.
Yes, thank you.
Now, this case against Richard Montez is not new. As we know, it's a February 2018 case.
And just so the record can clear, that was before this court's term, this
That's
judge.
correct, yes.
All right, thank
He
you.
did not take the bench until 2019 and paid it.
Thank you.
And we do recall that, Judge. And this case was dismissed because the state was not ready. They asked for a continuance. It was denied. They re-urged their request for continuance. It was denied. And so it was subsequently indicted. In the re-indictment, there's nothing new in the indictment. It is a different indictment, but everything within that indictment, the new indictment, are merely lesser included offenses that the state was going to be able to ask for in the first case. In the first indictment, there was a number of allegations. Every single one of those allegations in the new indictment could have been pled as lesser included on the first case. So there's nothing new in this case. The state is not tendered. They've not said that they have any new evidence, any new witnesses. They've not made any argument that that's a reason for this delay. Now, the length of delay, we all know, has been quite some time. He's been in custody now for 3 years and some. The reasons for the delay, there's been a number of reasons, not all of which can count against the state, and many of those cannot count against the defendant. But the state has the burden of justifying a lengthy delay under Recal. And the differences for the reasons the delays are assigned, they are assigned different weights. And intentional delay or for tactical reasons is to nullify or avoid the trial court's unfavorable ruling. The state failed to timely secure their witnesses. As we heard testimony, as the state's record shows, the state has argued that they don't have to subpoena SAPD officers. In their own motion for continuance, it states that there are retired officers. And so they're not subject to a contract with SAPD. And in order for them to secure their presence and have them attached, because the vacation is not a valid excuse for attending trial, they needed to issue subpoenas, which they were not even issued. It's not that they were unable to serve, it's that they were not even issued. Now, in the first prosecution of this case, the state filed an unverified motion for continuance, stating the primary reason for not being ready is that the lead detective was on vacation. And that lead detective, again, my understanding, Bunnell, was retired. But there's also people in that motion for continuance that were not SAPD, that they claimed were material witnesses for their prosecution. And as the record indicates, there's been no attempt to even issue a subpoena for those individuals. One of those people is Sotero Guevara Jr., which we heard co-counsel question our investigator if he saw any issuance of subpoena for that individual. He did not. There's another individual, I believe that same individual, they stated was suffering from anxiety. It was struggling to come to terms with testifying in this case. Regardless of whether he was struggling to testify, they could have still issued that subpoena, and the court could have made a determination as to whether he was a competent witness or not. They also state in their motion for continuance that they were currently, and this was also an exhibit in our, and as it's part of this court's record, we note that they state that they are currently getting funds together for travel expense and to house the family in San Antonio throughout the duration of trial. They're advocating is arranging, currently living in Bryant and arranging with the DA's office to get them funds. They could have done this in April. They could have done this in May, in June, in July. They made no attempt whatsoever until it's an unknown time as to when. But at the time that this motion was filed, they were still in the process of trying to secure the witnesses. They had not made any attempts to do so. The state acknowledged in their motion for continuance that they had not timely prepared for trial. As they stated, they were currently attempting to coordinate witnesses. The district clerk's record shows the state had not a willful, if not wanton neglect to prosecute. The district clerk's records, the court was right in denying the state's motion for continuance as it did not comply with Code of Criminal Procedures. It was not verified, and the court was right in denying that motion. The state moved to dismiss the 2018 indictment solely as a backdoor continuance to avoid an unfavorable decision by the court. The state acted in bad faith as they neglected to prosecute this case and attempting prosecute this case in a timely manner. And by dismissing the indictment, the state was attempting to gain a tactical advantage to avoid a consequence of their own willful neglect, a consequence of their own making. This weighs heavily against the state under the Barker factors. Now, the state's I heard in testimony talking in regards to the assertion for speedy trial, and that Mr. Montez filed what they said was a motion to dismiss. It has been held that even filing a motion to dismiss can be seen as an assertion of speedy trial rights. Now, the defendant has no duty to bring himself to trial, but however, he did assert his right to trial. He filed a pro se motion. He rejected all state offers, and the plea deadlines were extended, but he at no time ever indicated he was accepting an offer. He asserted his right for trial in August 2022 when he announced ready for trial. He objected to the state's motion for continuance. Now, under State versus Munoz and in Barker, even should the court find that a defendant failed to assert his right to speedy trial, it's not necessarily dispositive of his speedy trial claim, with this being weighed in balance with the other Barker factors. Now, again, a defendant has no duty to bring himself to trial, and by objecting to the motion for continuance, he did not waive such right. Now, the final factor in whether his constitutional rights have been violated is whether he's been prejudiced. And prejudice should be assessed in light of the following interests, which the speedy trial right was designed to protect. To prevent oppressive pretrial incarceration, which he has testified that he has been in custody, in segregation. And so he has certainly endured oppressive incarceration. Also to minimize anxiety and concern of the accused, which he's testified it caused him anxiety, it caused him depression, even after this case was dismissed. And also to limit the possibility that the defense will be impaired. And we heard from defense investigator that there was indication that witnesses may have been available and that possibly one witness had passed away. He suffered 3 years in custody. He lost family members and was unable to attend their funerals. His child, he was not able to be there for her and she was molested. And so, most significantly, Montez has been prejudiced as a result of the state's willful delay.
State.
Judge, I am the second chair, and I guess I've been elevated to the first chair on this case. I'm not sure why the defense counsel feels the need to attack Mr. Nahara. I don't think there's any dispute that the lead detective was not in the country. They've certainly not brought any evidence to contradict that, yet they seem to feel the need to repeatedly try to attack him, and somehow insinuate that the things that he's saying are somehow not true. And yet they don't really bring anything to contradict the fact that the detective is not in the country. They had an opportunity to object to the motion to dismissal, and they did not object to that. When we look at the length of the time and the things that have been going on, there are a lot of things that have been going on, but it's not really, and that's why I asked the court to take judicial notice of the fact that many of these things are outside of really anyone's control. The pandemic was an issue that came up that no one really expected and no one really was able to anticipate until it arrived, and we had to deal with it. And early on, and the way I think of this case is there's really 3 stages to this case. The first stage is the sort of the discovery stage, where the defense and the court is aware of this, with Mr. Featherston, the counsel on the other cases and the many discovery issues that they filed. They wanted to make sure that they have everything, and I understand that. And we were delayed while they wanted to make sure that they have every video, every terabyte, everything that they needed to. As far as I know, that they've had everything. Nothing significant has been denied to them or not given to them. They've had these things, and it was sort of reset for a time to make sure that they have everything. And then, of course, the pandemic hit. And then after the pandemic, trials did not resume on a regular basis until March of this year, 2022. And unfortunately, in September of last year, Mr. Cantu passed away. And, at that time, and perhaps the record may not be clear on this as it should, Mr. Katzenone was elevated to be primarily in charge of the defense, and he needed time to prepare. And the defense needed time to have a second chair and have Mr. Kelly Pittle time to prepare. And they used that time to prepare. In terms of the claiming that they have 2 witnesses who are avoiding them, if anything, I think they should be happy that they had additional time to try to look for these witnesses who are not. And so when you look for the reason for the delay, it's discovery issues, the pandemic, really the unfortunate passing of Mr. Cantu. And so when you look at the delay and the reasons for the delay and the assertion to a speedy trial, one of the issues that the courts look at in terms of the reason assertion of speedy right to a speedy trial is when are they asserting their right or their demand to go to trial, not to have their speedy trial motions heard, but when are they saying that they're ready and that they want a trial. And that really didn't happen until August of 2022. And so in terms of them asserting the right that they're ready to go to trial, it really is until August of 2022. In terms of prejudice, we've heard a lot of speculation. I think courts have generally acknowledged that while general anxiety about a criminal charge is certainly significant, or certainly a factor. It's not something that they find a great deal of emphasis on. Instead, it's prejudice. And the thing that they seem to focus on is the fact that Mr. Judicial had passed away, one of our state witnesses. He was a person who was in the car with one of the deceased, and so he would not have been a friendly witness to the defense. So I don't see how his passing hurts their defense. But it's one of those things where I guess they feel the need to argue, even though it's not really beneficial to them. And so at this point, really with the three phases of the trial, with the discovery issues, to make sure that they have everything, and as far as I know, they have, in terms of the pandemic, which is really no one's fault, and the passing of Mr. Cantu, that's sort of how we ended up here. They certainly had the opportunity to make an objection to the motion for continuance. In August, they have not done that. We're in November. We are ready to go to trial on the target date. And so we're asking that their motion be denied, and that we proceed to our date.
Brief
Defense.
rebuttal, Judge. Now, weighing these factors, the length of delay is obvious. It's been a long time. It's been a long time that this person has stayed in custody, which also weighs to prejudice. And those are both weighed in favor of the defendant. Now, the state has claimed that these witnesses, they're not significant. The discovery is not significant. It's not their prerogative as to what the defense theories are and what they believe is significant or not. They are not aware of what defense theories are. And so as to whether we should be happy or not, it's not an argument for the state to make. It's that these witnesses not being available have prejudiced the defendant. And in stating the agreement on this dismissal, that agreeing to a dismissal did not waive his constitutional rights to later address the state's violation for their denial of his speedy trial. Defendant announced ready for trial. The state did not want to move forward. And in forcing the defendant to choose between the Sixth Amendment rights, he chose the path that was in his best interest. He did not waive his right to later complain that his speedy trial rights had been violated. And we ask that you grant his motion to dismiss. It should be noted that case law states that judge has the authority to dismiss a case based on a violation of rights. But in regards to a dismissal, the judge has no right to force a prejudicial dismissal if the state's asking for it just to be dismissed. But the judge does have the authority to dismiss a case based on a violation of constitutional rights, and we ask that you do so, Judge.
And just briefly, he had a PR bond, and respectfully, he was the one that screwed up the PR bond. And so he only has himself to blame on that issue.
Those charges were dismissed in regards to the violation of that.
All right. So I have listened to both arguments of both sides. I've heard your evidence, and I always internalize everything that I've heard. The motion is denied. This case is going to start. Let me see what date. I believe it's November 29th with jury selection on that day. And then testimony will begin on the 30th. If there is any videos that anybody is going to object to, that I need to see beforehand, please bring them to me on the 29th so I can watch those videos and not have the jury waiting. Okay.
Judge, we filed a lengthy motion in limine. I'm going to resend it to James today.
Okay.
The the defendant was interviewed for many hours, and we believe that there's portions of that video that need to be redacted.
All right, so if you all both would confer on that, and then if there's something that you cannot agree on, I will have you here on Monday, the 28th.
Okay.
So that we-
29th?
No, jury selection is on the 29th.
Okay, good.
That's when I've been giving juries.
Yes, sir.
So
I like the warm-up date.
thank you. So if you all cannot agree on that, then come in on the 28th so that the court can make its ruling. All right, and so we're going to take Mr. Montez back because we have a jury trial. And, all right, sure.
And then,
Yes.
I need defense to,
It's so muddy. I'll walk on the river walk to get to.
You're gonna be in trial next week?
But I'll walk on the river walk. It is so humid.
Obviously, we're gonna like with it.
In regards to.
The line is not in place because
Well, there's the scene. that-
we have a jury coming in. Y'all can step back just a tad. Yes.
yes.
Yes,
We're bringing the factories up.
I should ask you about the docket for next week.
sure.
I've been ordered to be in now.
Do we need to order you here?
Very angry, no.
Uh-huh.
I was in trial last month. I got out.
Sure, okay.
Okay. Mr. Villarreal is the first witness you're all calling the complainant? Okay, we'll take care of that. And yes,
You want me to resend it to you? So it's top of your email?
Yeah, and then.
what is your name? Natasha what? All right, just have a seat. We'll get the coordinator to come out, okay? Thank you.
We had a reset.
Yeah. We can pick up there.
Yeah. I guess.
All right, see you next. Look at you all getting ahead of the ball. I appreciate that. All right, have a good one. Brittany or Daniel, could you have Miss Ferguson come out, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Try to get our.
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
Good. That was great, Mr.
And so, you know, there's anything to do.
Oh, okay, okay, cool. All right.
I am.
Anytime.
Oh.
See you.
Excuse me, if you all can make sure you clear the area because we're gonna bring a jury in. It's her date.
I took all your stuff away.
All right, they're going around to the back.
Yeah.
She said she's on the docket today, but they're coming to the back.
Email about judge.
Okay.
All the attorneys.
Okay,
I'm not gonna say anything. Thank you. Thank you.
okay,
I'm saying that. I said
okay.
emails.
Do y'all want to already have your witness come and take the stand?
I can just.
Yes. Oh, and Mr. Hayek, you can, when that button is green on that, that means that it's live and you can pick up things. So just press it down if you want to speak.
No, the other way around. You
No, you do.
don't- you.
That's for loudness.
Sorry, Des, but you're right.
Okay. I turned it off, yes. Oh, no. Attorney Maurer, did you need to speak with me?
I'm saying, I talked to Norma about, I've got 3 cases on your docket on Tuesday, and I've been ordered to appear in Lee County by the judge because my case got continued from last week and he did not understand why trial case took precedence. So I told Norma I'm gonna start in Lee County and get here as soon as I can. My clients are gonna be here.
Okay,
And I'm gonna send you a follow-up email right now.
all right, thank you. And how's Oklahoma doing?
5-4, Judge. You know what? Next year,
It's
hey,
good.
my dad was so happy about that Alabama game.
Yes.
That was, I watched that. I was at a friend's wedding. Just went to the bar. That was fantastic.
Yes. Well, you know, my heart was racing when they decided to go for 2 points.
The kid who caught that was a freshman.
Yes,
Things are looking bright.
yes,
And Coach Kelly does that great dance
yes.
and the great fake accent.
And so, Mr. Morales, we're starting a little late today because we had a hearing that went longer than anticipated.
Okay.
And so both parties know, I'll let the jury know the reason for the lateness.
You don't need to adjust this.
Hey, Brenda, I think this is the first time the jurors are meeting Deputy Laura.
She's gotta do her hand up.
Yes.
Versus speak.
We're ready.
Ready, Judge?
Yes.
All right, for the jury.
call, please be seated. All right, everyone, please be seated. I'm sorry about the late start today, but I had another matter that was unrelated to this case. So even though we're having a jury trial on this case, I still have other cases that come before me. And as I said yesterday, sometimes you will see people coming through this door, just ignore them. It has absolutely nothing to do with this case. If you see someone coming through that door and looking surprised, it's because they didn't read the sign outside the door that says we're in jury trial, do not enter. All right. So state, call your next witness.
They call Sandy Sanchez.
All right, could you raise your right hands for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I solemnly swear.
All right, you can lower your hand. Just make sure you speak up so that the jurors can hear you and that the court reporter can hear, okay?
Yes.
All right, and if you could state your name for the record.
My name is Sandy Sanchez.
All right, state.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Sandy. How are you feeling about testifying today?
I'd rather not be here.
So how old are you today?
I'm 19.
I'm sorry?
I'm 19.
And what is your date of birth?
10/21/2003.
2003.
Yes.
Do you go to school right now?
No, I just graduated.
And where'd you graduate from?
Cape University High School.
Can you get a little closer to the mic and maybe speak a little bit slow? I'm getting old.
Cape University High School.
Again, please. I'm sorry, but I didn't understand. Can I have that date of birth again, please?
10/21/2003.
Thank you.
Sorry, if you could repeat where you went to school.
Cape University Academy.
Okay. Do you have any plans what you're gonna do next?
Yes, I plan to get my PhD.
Okay. In what?
Animal sciences.
That sounds like a lot more school. Are you ready for that?
Most definitely.
So, who's your mom?
My mother is Brenda Mora.
And do you have any siblings?
Yes, I do.
How many?
I have 3.
Where are you as far as age is concerned? Are you the oldest, youngest, or somewhere in the middle?
I'm the eldest.
So you're the oldest of, you said 3 siblings?
Well, including me, it's 4.
4. So you understand why you're here today, right?
Yes, I do.
Do you know a person by the name of Mario Morales?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know?
He was married to my mother.
And do you see Mario Morales in the courtroom today?
Yes, he's standing right there next to the DA, sitting right there next to the DA.
Okay, if you can get a little closer to the mic, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
The record can reflect she identified the defendant, John.
Do you remember when you first met Mario?
Yes, I do.
And do you remember what year that was?
No, I do not.
Do you remember how old you were?
I remember being in a car seat.
So pretty young? Yes.
Yes, sir.
And did you ever live with Mario?
Yes, I did.
Do you know how old you were when Mario was living with you?
Around 8.
That's when he first started living with you?
Yes, that I
Okay.
remember.
And do you remember when he stopped living with you?
Yes, I do.
Okay, when was that?
Around the time I had just started, I think, 3rd grade.
Okay. Do you know approximately how old you would have been?
Like maybe 10.
During that period of time, did y'all live at different houses here in San Antonio?
Yes, we did.
You know, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 4. What's depicted in State's Exhibit number 4?
The house, the last house I was in.
Okay, and did you call out a house by a certain name, or did you know it by something?
No, not this house.
Okay.
This is our last final home.
Okay, do you know what street it was on?
Yes,
What street?
a Meadow Trace Street.
And did you live with Mario in that house?
Yes, for a short period of time.
I'm gonna show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 5. What's depicted in State's Exhibit number 5?
A picture of one of the first houses I remember us moving into.
Okay, and did you know this house by like a certain way?
Yes, we would call this Valerie's house
Valerie's house. Okay, why did you call it Valerie's house?
because the lady that owned it, her name was Valerie.
And did you live with Mario at that house that's in State's Exhibit number 5?
Yes, I did.
And then finally, I want to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 6. Do you recognize that house?
Yes, I do.
And is that a house that you ever lived at?
Yes, it was.
Okay, and do you know this house by a certain name, or do you call it something?
Yes, we would refer to this as Johnson's house
Johnson's house. Why did you call it Johnson's house?
because the man that owned it, his name was Johnson.
Okay. Did you ever live with Mario at Johnson's house?
Yes, we did.
So all these houses that are in State's Exhibits 4, 5, and 6. You lived in all of these houses with Mario Morales.
Yes, that's correct.
And do these pictures, do they truly and accurately reflect what that house looks like from your memory?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state would move to admit State's Exhibits numbers 4, 5, and 6 and tender to defense counsel for objection.
Yeah, defense. I don't know if you want to use them, but Defense has no objection to states 4, 5, and 6 being introduced into evidence.
All right, states numbers 4, 5, and 6 are admitted without objection.
May I publish, Judge?
Yes.
So, Sandy, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put these on the projector so that we can talk about them, so that make sure we're talking about the same place, okay? Sound fair?
Yes.
I don't know if I'll be able to put them all at the same time. Okay. We'll probably have to do one at a time. Let's talk about the first time something of a sexual nature happened between you and Mario, okay?
Okay.
Do you remember how old you were?
Yes, I do.
And how old were you?
I was 8.
And it's fair to say you're 19 now,
Yes, sir.
so my math serves me correctly, it's about 11 years ago.
Yes, it has.
So is it fair to say you looked a lot different back then?
Yes, I did.
Can I may approach?
Yes.
Sandy, I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit number 7 for identification purposes. Do you recognize that person in State's Exhibit number 7?
Yes, that is a picture of me.
Okay, and how old are you in that picture?
That picture, I was around 8.
Okay, and looks like you're wearing a medal. Do you remember when you got this photo taken?
Yes, I do. It was a honor roll ceremony.
An honor robe ceremony?
An honor roll ceremony.
Roll, okay. I'm trying to get you a little closer to this mic. And does this truly and accurately reflect what you look like when you were about 8 years old?
Yes, it does.
Here at this time, the state would move to admit State's Exhibit number 7 and tender to defense counsel for objections.
Your Honor, defense has no objections to state's exhibit number 7 being
State-
introduced.
State's Exhibit number 7 is admitted without objection.
And you, Your Honor, may I publish?
Yes.
So. So, is that, the photo was just admitted, right?
Yes, that is correct.
Again, let's talk about the first time that you remember something happening. What house were you living at?
At the time, I believe we were living in Johnson's house.
Johnson's house. Okay. So what is depicted in state's exhibit number 5? That John, no,
That's Valerie.
that's Valerie's. Okay. Johnson's house.
Yes,
Okay, what's depicted in state's exhibit number 6?
yes.
As far as this first time that something happened, can you tell the jury what happened?
The first time anything happened between me and him, he was sitting on the couch. At the time, I didn't know what porn was, but from the laptop, there were moaning sounds. I looked at him. He asked me if I wanted to see. I gave no response, and he continued to turn the laptop. I only glanced at it, but I saw a man and a woman having sex.
And you said porn. What do you mean by porn?
Porn, a visual aid of man and a female, a video on the internet of them having sex.
And at that time, you didn't know what that was.
No, I didn't.
Do you understand what that is today?
Yes, I do.
So he keeps showing you the laptop. Do you look away or do you look at it?
I looked at it for a couple seconds and I looked away.
When he was showing you this, was he saying anything to you?
No, he just sat there smiling at me.
He was what?
Smiling at me?
Was he doing anything else with his body?
No, he wasn't.
After he shows you the porn, I guess, how long does that take?
It doesn't take long.
What happens after he shows you the porn?
Afterwards, he had closed the blinds, the living room were open. He had closed the blinds. And
What room were you in?
we were in the living room.
Was anybody else home?
No,
Do you know where your mother was?
my mom was at work.
So he closed the blind, right? And what happens next?
He asked me to lay down on the ground and take off my shorts.
So you were wearing shorts at the time?
Yes, I was.
Were you wearing underwear?
Yes, I was.
Okay, so when he tells you to do this, do you do this?
Yes, I do.
What's going on through your mind while this is happening?
Nothing. I'm confused. I don't understand.
So you lay on the ground and you said you take off your shorts? Yes.
Yes, I do.
What happens next?
That I don't remember. I just remember seeing him over me.
Over you?
Yes,
What do you mean by that?
he was physically over me, like his body was over mine.
Where your body's touching?
Not that I can recall.
Was he doing anything with his body?
Not that I can recall.
Was he touching any part of your body?
Yes.
What part of your body was he touching?
My vagina.
Okay. Do you know what he was touching it with?
His hand.
And was that skin to skin or was there something in between?
There was nothing in between.
And was he doing anything with his hand while he was touching your vagina?
Yes, he was moving his fingers.
Um, and was he saying anything while he was doing this?
No, not that I remember.
Did his fingers go inside of your vagina?
No,
It was just touching the outside.
yes, sir.
How long did this last?
Um, I'm not sure. To me, it seemed quite a while.
What's going on through your head while this is happening?
Nothing. My mind is completely blank. I don't know what to, I didn't know what to think.
Does he eventually stop touching you?
Yes, he did.
And then what happens after that?
He asked me to get up and go to the restroom to clean myself.
And what did you understand to clean yourself to me?
To wipe the area he had touched.
When he was touching your vagina with his fingers, did you still have your underwear on?
No,
So did he put his hands underneath your underwear?
I took those off as well
Why did you take those off?
because he told me to.
So he tells you to go, going back, he tells you to go clean yourself. Do you go to the bathroom
Yes, I do.
and do you clean yourself?
Yes, I do.
Do you know what he's doing while you're doing that?
No, I do not.
After you do that, what happens next?
I don't.
Did he tell you anything afterwards?
Not that I can recall.
So after this first time that something happens, why didn't you tell your mom or somebody what happened?
I was confused. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know how to verbally explain what had happened.
When's the next time you remember him doing something to you?
I had walked in on him when he was coming out of the shower.
So this second time, I'm gonna call this the second time, okay?
Okay.
Right, it's the next time something happened, right? Right?
Yes.
What house were you living at then?
I believe Valerie's.
Valerie's. Is that what's depicted in State's Exhibit number 5?
Yes.
So let's talk about the second time. So you said you walked in on him. What do you mean by that?
Well, he was coming out of the shower and he had himself wrapped in a towel.
Okay. And so who was in the house when this second time happened?
It was me, him, my cousin Vanessa, and her baby.
So I should say, ask first, where was this bathroom located that he was coming out of?
Inside his room.
So were you walking into his room?
Yes,
Why were you walking into his room?
I went to get a brush.
So you walk in there, what happens next?
I walked in and he told me that walking in on him was very bad.
I'm sorry?
I walked in and he got mad. He told me that walking in on him was bad.
And then what happens next?
Next, all I remember is him asking me to take off my shorts, my clothes.
Okay. And at that point, were you inside the bedroom?
Yes,
Was the door open or closed?
it was closed.
So you said the next thing you remember is him asking you or telling you to take off your clothes.
Yes,
Did you do that?
yes, I did.
Is he doing anything while you're undressing?
Not that I can remember.
What clothes do you take off?
Like my shorts and my underwear.
Did you have a top on?
Yes, I did.
Did you keep that on or take that off?
I kept it on.
So after you take off your shorts and your underwear, what happens next?
He he grabbed lotion and put it in his hand.
Where were you while he was doing it?
I was standing by the bed.
So he goes and he puts lotion on his hands. What happens next?
He asked me to get on the bed.
To get on the bed?
Yes,
You get on the bed?
yes, I did.
Once you get on the bed, what happens next?
I'm not completely on the bed. I'm at the edge of the bed. My bottom half is hanging off the bed. And he put the lotion down there.
First, I want to talk about how your body is. You said your bottom wasn't on the bed, like you weren't fully on the bed.
No, sir.
What part of your body was touching the bed?
My top half, just my back was on the bed.
Your back was on the bed. Are your feet on the ground?
No,
Where are they?
they're in the air.
And so he said he grabs the lotion and he puts it down there. What do you mean by down there?
I mean, in my private area.
Okay. Just so the jury understands that we're talking about the same body parts. I'm sorry. What do you call that something else?
Yeah.
What?
My vagina.
Okay. When he puts the lotion on your vagina, what part of his body is he using to do that?
His hand.
And with his hand, is he touching skin to skin?
Yes, he is.
And is he doing anything with his hand?
No, he just put it.
Just what?
He just put it on.
And when he put it on there, was he just touching the outside of your vagina, or did he ever put his fingers inside your vagina?
Just the outside.
What happens next?
I believe he had spread the lotion.
He what?
He spread the lotion
Where does he spread it?
towards my back area.
Your lower back, or is that we're talking?
No, I mean, like my butt.
Your butt. Okay. I'm sorry to have to ask you these questions, but I need to know specific parts of your body, because those certain parts of your body might be in offense. So is there anywhere on your butt that he's touching?
My butthole.
And is he doing anything when he's putting the lotion on what you call your butthole?
No, he just put the lotion.
Is he saying anything while he's doing this?
He just kept telling me to be quiet.
And is he fully clothed?
No, he was just wearing the towel around his waist.
So he puts the lotion on your butthole. What happens next?
He inserts his penis into my ball.
So does he take off his robe?
Yes,
Or the towel?
yes, he did.
Were you able to see his penis?
No,
And so you said he put his penis into your butthole. How do you know that it was his penis?
because he was standing in front of me, and I felt it when it went in.
How did it feel when that happened?
It hurt a lot.
Is he saying anything to you while he's doing that?
He just kept telling me that it was okay.
Okay.
But to be quiet.
What's going on through your head as this is happening?
I just wanted to stop.
Does he do anything with his penis after he puts it into your butthole?
Yes, he continued, he would thrust in and out.
So was he moving his penis in and out of your butthole?
Yes, he was.
Was he saying anything while he was doing this?
No. He just kept telling me it was okay.
So how long does this last?
I'm not sure. It felt like forever.
Does it eventually stop?
Yes,
And when he stops, does he do anything, say anything?
he just told me to get off the bed, put my shorts on, and to go to the restroom and clean myself.
So do you do that?
Yes, I do.
And at that point, is he naked?
Can't remember.
Do you see him naked? So you go to the restroom and you clean yourself off. What happened next?
That's all I remember.
Does he tell you anything afterwards?
He just tells me to be quiet.
Okay. After this second time, why didn't you tell your mom? Or anybody?
I didn't know. I didn't know what he was doing was wrong. I didn't know exactly what he was doing. I didn't understand.
When's the next time you remember something happened to you?
Sorry. Then the next time I remember something happening. I remember me and my sister were up late. We were playing. My mom was in the recliner. We were in the living room.
Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. What house were you living at when that happened? With this third time?
I believe it was Johnson's house.
Jonathan's house. So the same, is that the same house that's in 5?
No,
Okay, is that back at what's in State's Exhibit 6?
yes,
So. This third time, you said you were in the living room
yes.
and your mom was in the recliner.
Mhm.
What happens next? And let me, before you answer that question, let me ask this. Do you remember about how old you were when this happened, this third time?
No,
So going back to, you're in the living room, what happens next?
me and my sister are playing. He comes out of the room,
What room does he come out of?
him and my mother's room.
Okay. And then what happens when he comes out?
He walked down the hall towards the living room. Me and my sister at the time we were playing like this kind of relationship game.
Okay.
And we were in the middle of playing and he saw us like enacting kisses.
Okay. How much younger is your sister?
My sister is 4 years younger than me.
So you're doing this in the living room. Is your mom still in the living room?
Yes,
And is she awake? Is she asleep? Is she doing something?
I can't remember.
Okay. So this is happening in the living room. He comes out and sees y'all playing this game. What happens next?
He got mad because we were playing that game.
Did he say something to y'all?
He's like, how do you even know? He's like, you don't even know how to kiss. He's like, how do you know how to kiss?
And what happens next?
Remember, he gets mad and he sends us to our room, to our room.
Were you sharing a room with your sister at the time?
Yes, I was.
Did y'all go to your room?
Yes, we do.
What happens next?
Later. I think later in the day, it's just me, him, and my sister. We're all playing in the living room again.
Okay, so you got sent to the room, but you're eventually able to come out.
Yes,
So y'all come back, you go back into the living room.
yes.
What happens next?
He's laying down on the couch while me and my sister are playing.
Where's your mom at this point?
I believe she was at work.
Okay. Do you remember about what time of day this was?
No, but I remember it being light outside.
There's still light outside. Okay. So he's laying on the couch and you and your sister are playing in the living room. What happens next?
He mentions the game we had played later, and he then asked me if I know how to kiss.
Okay. What happens next?
I say yes.
Okay, and what happens next?
He asked me to demonstrate to him.
Okay. And do you?
Yes, I go in for a kiss, and his mouth is wide open.
And is he still laying on the couch?
Yes,
What's going on through your mind as this is happening?
I'm confused.
So you go in for a kiss, you actually kiss him?
No,
Okay, what happens next?
I go in for the kiss. Seems his mouth is open. I retract my kiss, and I go in again, and he still does the same thing.
So after this happens, what happens next?
At this time, I believe I was sitting on top of him while he was laying down. And
What part of your body, or what part of his body are you laying on or sitting?
I don't understand the question.
Did you say that you were sitting on him?
Yes,
Okay, what part of his body are you sitting on?
I believe his stomach.
Okay. And then, so you're sitting on his stomach, what happens next? And let me, before I answer that question, let's go back. Is your sister still in the room?
I can't remember.
So tell me what happens next.
He had asked me to kiss. I went in, his mouth was open. I was confused. I retracted it. I went in to give him another kiss, and his mouth was still open. So I never kissed him.
And then what happens next?
He laughed and said, I thought you said you knew how to kiss.
And then what happens next?
I don't remember.
Is that all that happened during this incident?
Yes,
Does he ever touch any part of your body, your vagina, your butthole, your breasts, anything like that during this incident?
no.
So let's talk about the next time something sexual happens between you and Mario. When's the next time something happened?
We were at home again. This time it was me, him, and my brother.
What house were you living in at this time?
I believe it was Valerie.
Valid. Is that what's depicted 6 exhibit number 5? Is it Valerie's house?
Yes, it is. I'm
Oh.
sorry. I don't believe it was that house.
Okay. Do you remember what house it was in?
No,
So you said you were in the living room? Or, I'm sorry, you said that you were, this time it was different people, right?
yes,
It was, who all was there?
it was me, him, and my brother.
Do you remember how old you were when this happened?
Yes, I was around the age of 8.
So what happens during this incident?
It starts off in the living room. I don't remember exactly what we were doing in the living room. I just remember we were all there. He then asked me to go to the room, go to his room. And I do what he tells me.
So where was your mother at this point?
My mother was at work.
And how old was your brother at this time? Or actually not at this time, but how many years younger is he?
He's 2 years younger than me.
So he just tells you to go to their room, to his room. Do you go to the room?
Yes, I do.
Does he stay in the living room or does he follow you to the room?
I believe he stays in the living room to talk to leave, like, try to get my brother to stay behind.
Okay. Does he eventually come to the bedroom?
Yes, he does.
Once inside the bedroom, does he keep the door open or does he close it?
I can't remember.
What happens once you're inside the bedroom?
Once we're inside the bedroom, he tells me to lay down on the bed. Yes.
So at this point, are you clothed?
Yes, I am.
Is he clothed?
Yes, he is.
And he tells you to lay down on the bed.
Yes, he did.
Do you lay down on the bed?
Yes, I do.
What part of your body is touching the bed?
My back. My back, yeah.
Once you're laying on the bed, does he do anything?
No, he goes over and grabs a lollipop.
Grabs a lollipop?
Yes,
Where was the lollipop?
I believe on the dresser.
Does he do anything with the lollipop?
He just unwraps it.
Okay. And then does he do anything else with the lollipop?
No,
So he unwraps the lollipop. What happens next?
next. All I remember is he didn't have any clothes on his bottom half.
So he's fully naked on his bottom half.
Yes,
Do you see his penis?
yes, I do.
And what did? Sorry to ask the question, but what did his penis look like? Let me ask it this way. Do you know now what an erection is?
Yes,
At that point, did he have an erection?
I believe so.
So after he's naked on the bottom half, what happens next?
I remember being on the bed and him telling me to pretend it was like a lollipop,
To pretend what was like a lollipop?
his penis.
And you're still laying on the bed?
Yes,
And is he doing anything with his penis?
no, not that I can remember.
But after he tells you to act like it's a lollipop, what happens next?
He tells me that to pretend like it's a lollipop, not to to be careful not to bite on it.
Does his penis go anywhere?
It goes in my mouth.
How was his body positioned compared to your body?
He was over me.
Is your back still on the bed?
Yes,
And so he puts his penis into your mouth.
yes.
You doing anything with his penis while it's in your mouth?
He would thrust it back and forth in my mouth.
What's going on through your mind while this is happening?
I didn't know. I wasn't thinking. I just laid there like a vegetable.
How long does this last?
It lasts what seems like a while.
Does it eventually stop?
Yes,
You know why he stops doing it?
because my brother called him.
So your brother calls him, he stops, does he get off of you?
Yes, he gets off the bed.
Does he stay in the bedroom or does he go anywhere?
I believe he puts back on his shorts and he goes out to my brother in the living.
Does he tell you anything?
He tells me not to say anything.
Other than telling you not to say anything, does he tell you anything else?
During the incident, he told me he would go back and forth between the lollipop and his penis. He would put the lollipop in my mouth and he would then put his penis in my mouth. And he would tell me not to bite it.
Okay. Do you remember what the lollipop tastes like?
It was grape.
Is there a particular reason you remember that?
Yeah,
Why?
I remember the color. I remember the flavor.
So in between, while he's putting his penis in your mouth, there's times he'll take it out and put the lollipop in your mouth.
Yes, that is correct.
Is he saying anything else while he's doing this, thrusting his penis in?
No, he just continuously tells me not to bite it.
When he leaves the room, do you stay in the room?
No, I leave as well.
And is that all that happened that day?
That I recall, yes.
After this incident, this fourth incident. Why did you tell me one?
He would tell me to keep quiet. Not to say anything.
After this fourth time, was there any other incidents of a sexual nature between you and Martin?
Not that I can remember.
So when you knew Mario at that time, did you know that he was, before he even met you, he was a sex offender and had been convicted of indecency with a child by contact?
No, I had no idea.
Do you know that information now?
Yes, I do.
So after this last incident, the fourth time, is how much longer between that time and you telling somebody what happened?
I told when I was 13. So I believe 6 years later.
Okay. Why at that point did you decide to tell someone?
Because at that point, I understood what he did.
And who's the first adult that you tell that this something's happened, that Mara's done something to you?
I tell my uncle,
What's his name?
Kelvin Frigo.
And when you told Kelvin, was Mario in your life anymore?
No,
Had he been in your life or out of your life for years prior to that?
yes,
Do you know when your mom and Mario got divorced?
not exactly.
You know what year by any chance?
I believe it was in 2011.
Say that again.
2011?
Thank you. But you're not sure.
I'm not sure.
When you tell your uncle, where do you tell your uncle? Like what location?
At his house, at his apartment, at their apartment.
And he's the first adult that you tell?
Yes,
Mario, other than him being married to your mother, are you related to him in any other way?
no, not at all.
And have you seen Mario after basically him and your mom got divorced?
No,
So he hasn't been any part of your life.
no.
And at this time, I'll pass the witness.
Defense.
Yes, John. Yes, Johnny, thank you. Sandy, my name is Anton.
If you want them to record, don't press it. Don't lie to him. You press it if you don't want it to.
Are we live? Yes, Sandy. My name is Anton. I'm a lawyer. I have a job to do, just like Mr. Recal does.
Yes, sir.
And I appreciate you testifying today, but you have me completely mixed up. Do you know what an indictment is?
No, sir, I do not.
So is that fair to say you weren't showed a paper that had writing on it, you were told this is the indictment?
Yes, I believe you could say that.
Well, just let me approach for a moment, Judge. This top page, I will tell you, is the indictment. Have you ever seen something like that? This is not a trick question. Stick your grip.
Yes, sir, I believe I have.
And then did you read it in all these different paragraphs of what you're saying Mario did to you?
I'm sorry.
These different writings, did you read it? Did you remember?
No, I can't remember.
Thank you. That's not a trick question. The reason I ask you about the indictment is an important part of our case here. It is like a recipe for making a cake. This is a recipe for this case. And it's supposed to put us on notice what we're defending against, what you're going to present, and like the dates of occurrence and stuff like that. And the state picked some dates in here. Do you happen to know them, or do I need to tell you?
I don't believe I know.
Okay, I'll tell you the dates in the indictment. The 15th day of September from 2011, which I think you're 8 years old then,
Yeah, no,
to the 15th day of January 2014. I think you'd be 10.
yes,
Okay. Those aren't trick questions. And the particular case against my client is that he did several illegal acts of sexual assault to you.
yes,
I understand being young, you may not have understood what they were, the acts were. How do you know they're illegal or wrong now?
because I'm very well aware.
Okay. Do you have sexual training in school at all? Do you recall?
How do you mean?
Well, my kids never had this, but I understand teachers say, be aware, this is wrong, tell an adult, anything like that.
Yes,
And did you have like a biology class where somebody explains penises and vaginas?
yes, but that's not till high school.
Okay. Well, you reported this when you're 19 years old, right?
No, I reported this when I was 13.
And that was your uncle.
Yes,
And so what did your uncle do with this information?
my uncle turned and told my mother.
Okay, and do you know what she did with that information?
Yes, she asked me if I wanted to report it.
Okay, and
I proceeded to report it.
so you're 13, you're 19 now, this has taken 6 years.
Yeah,
Thank you. Okay. I don't quite understand what the testimony is about the houses, but for the first time, something happened as the prosecutor asked you, you're on a couch. And you said Mario's watching porn because you knew it was men and women having sex.
yes,
And how did you know they were having sex if you're 8 years old?
because I know now what it's like to have sex, what it looks like to have sex.
Okay. But you said, see, that's how you confuse me. You're talking about something you learned now as if you understood it back when you're 8 years old. I don't understand what you're really trying to get at. So when you're 8 years old, did you know these men and women were having sexual intercourse?
No,
But you since learned.
yes,
And not to go over everything, but he had you take off your pants. And the way I understand it, he put his hand on your vagina. And then later he told you to go clean yourself up. What were you having to clean up?
the lotion.
That you never told us about the lotion the first time. You told about the second time. So did he use lotion both times? Is that what your testimony is?
I'm sorry, sir, I'm confused.
Okay. Well, I'm still on the first time. And what I wrote down was he told you to go to the restroom, pull your pants up, wipe yourself. And so I'm trying to figure out what is being wiped. If you recall.
I don't understand the question.
On this first incident, when you go to the restroom after it happens, what are you cleaning up on your body?
Oh, my vagina and my butthole.
Because of the lotion.
Yes,
Is that different than the second time? I'm not trying to confuse you. Is this different than the second time?
no,
This first time, give us the best idea you have of when this is happening by the calendar.
I have no idea. I couldn't give you a specific date.
You're 8 years old, you're in school.
Yes,
Do you recall if it was a school day?
yes, I do.
Okay, so that would mean this would be in the afternoon when you're home from school?
No, that day I was homesick.
So no brothers or sisters were around that day, right?
No,
We don't know if the school has records of you missing that day or not, do we?
I'm not sure, sir.
And was there any particular sickness? Were you throwing up or just feeling bad?
I had threw up that morning.
And did you have anything that was diagnosed? I'm not sure why you throw up. Flu, intestinal virus.
No, sir.
Okay. And when in the school year was this, if you remember, was it spring session or the fall session?
I couldn't tell you, sir.
And could you tell if it was cold outside or hot outside?
I don't remember.
Okay, let's go to number 2. This is when you walk into him, Mario, coming out of the shower. You're getting a brush. Do you know what number I'm talking about?
Yes,
Who closes the door to the room?
I believe he did.
So he would have to come out of the shower and I guess go past you to close the door.
Yes,
And you were just needing a brush.
yeah,
And why did you need a brush from your parents' bedroom?
because my mom had all the brushes. My mom would do our hair.
Okay. And had she done your hair that day?
No,
So what time of the day was this? Was it early? Or late or middle day or
I couldn't tell you.
likewise, can you tell us if it was hot or cold outside?
No, I couldn't tell you.
Can you tell us if you were in school or not?
Yes, I was.
And at this time, your testimony is more clear about Mario allegedly putting lotion on your vagina and butthole. Do you remember telling the prosecutor that?
Yes, I do.
And did he do anything besides rub his hand? Did he do anything to you, like rub his hands on your butthole or your vagina?
I'm sorry.
What I heard you say was that Mario put a lotion on your vagina and butthole. When he did that, what was he doing with his hand?
Smothering it from my vagina to my butthole.
Okay, but- was he playing with your vagina or your butthole? Was he sticking his fingers in there, rolling around? That sort of stuff.
No,
Did you have a rash that had to have cream or anything?
I'm sorry.
Did you have a rash down there that needed cream on it or anything?
No,
And you didn't think anything was wrong at this time? You didn't understand, you were confused.
exactly.
Okay. Good. There's nobody else around to tell, is that correct?
Yes,
This time you're told to clean yourself up, and so do you understand why you cleaned up now?
yes,
All right, let's go to time number 3. This is your sister and you are up late. Mom's in a recliner, you're at the Johnson house. Now at the Johnson house, when you walk in the front door, what do you walk into, like a living room again?
yes. Living room.
Does this house have a living room and a den or just one big room?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Do you have a separate big room that you call the living room, a separate from a separate room you call the den? If you remember.
No,
No, you don't remember? No, we didn't have it.
No, we didn't have it.
So when you walk in the front door and you're in the living room, what is to the immediate left as you walk in?
The couch.
Oh, that's not just. Thank you. That was more specific. I was actually in the next room. Where's the kitchen in relation to that?
The kitchen is. There's a wall between the kitchen and the living room.
Can you walk into the kitchen from the living room?
Yes,
Do you have to go into a hallway or anything?
no,
Where is mom and dad's bedroom in relation to the living room?
um. How do you mean?
Well, if the kitchen's to the left, is the bedroom behind the kitchen? Is it to the right of the kitchen? You go through a hallway? Trying to get the layout of the house.
We go through a hallway?
Okay. And then are there other bedrooms for your siblings?
I'm sorry?
Are there other bedrooms for your siblings?
Yes,
And you said you're playing a kissing game. It's interesting.
No, I'm gonna object to the sidebar.
Sustained.
Sorry. We didn't have games like that when I was a kid.
Judge, again, I'm gonna object to the sidebar.
Sustained.
Okay, you and your sister playing this game, and Mario allegedly asked you about that. Sometime. Remember you got sent to your room, then you came back?
yes,
Mario allegedly asked you about your knowledge of kissing.
yes,
And you're what, 8 again still, 9 maybe?
yes,
And have you been kissed before?
yes, by my mother.
Yeah. And brothers and sisters
Yes,
and aunts and uncles?
yes,
Yeah, that's normal part of growing up, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Relatives, okay, so. At this time, Mario is your stepdad,
Yeah,
and he's not your biological father, is he?
no, he is not.
Do you remember when he and your mom got married?
No, I do not.
So mom's, the second time that you're in the room to talk about the kissing game, where is your mom?
She's not there.
Do you know where she was?
I believe she was at work.
I got the impression this was in the evening. Can you tell me what time of day this was to the best of your remembrance?
No, I cannot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did your mother work at nights back then?
No, she did not.
So in the daytime, probably.
I believe so.
Let's get to the fourth time now. This is the lollipop, the great lollipop. So Mario takes the lollipop and lets you lick it, is that correct? If you recall,
Yes,
and are you sucking on the lollipop? Is this like a Tootsie Roll? I'm sorry, Tootsie Roll normally has fudge in the middle and a hard candy outside, and it's on a stick,
I couldn't tell you.
okay? Could you tell us anything about the lollipop?
Yes, it was purple and it was a grape flavored lollipop.
And was there some method to hold the lollipop to your mouth?
Sorry, can you rephrase that question?
Well, I asked you if there was a stick and you said you didn't know, so is there a way to hold this lollipop to your mouth? Like with your hand?
Of course, there was a stick.
Thank you. Once again, he told you to take your clothes off.
In this incident, no, he did not tell me to take my clothes off.
I'm sorry. I may be getting confused. This was the incident when he sticks his penis into your mouth.
Correct.
And you know now what a penis is and what an erect penis is.
Yes, I do.
And do you know that eventually with erections, a substance comes out of the
Yes,
penis?
I do.
Did that happen to you?
No, not that I can remember.
Was that the only time that he did this to you?
That I remember, yes.
Okay. So let's do the best we can to tie this down by age. Are you always 8? Are you 8 and 9? If you recall.
I can't recall. I remember it being between the ages of that.
Okay, so period wise, let me see, your birthday's in October, right?
Yes.
So October of 11, you would be turning 8. You're born in 03, 8 years later is 11, I think.
Sorry, I can't do the math off the top of my head.
Okay, but I'm not trying to trick you on this one. 8 and 3 is 11, believe it or not,
Okay,
and I know that's a sidebar. And then so the next year when you're 9 would be 2012.
yes, exactly.
Then you said nothing else happened. So we don't need to worry about 2013. Is that correct?
I don't understand that question.
No, trying to tie down the times. The recipe we have has a big time. I'm trying to see if the time is smaller.
Yes, sir, I understand that, but I couldn't tell you a time.
Okay, well, I'm firmly convinced that the 8 years at 2011. And then you testified about events in 2012 when you're 9. Did that go over to another year or not? Did it go to 2013? If you recall.
No, I can't recall.
Okay. Were any of your clothes torn by Mario?
No,
Did he keep any of your clothes at all?
I couldn't tell you.
Well, every time you testified, you said you put your pants back on and wiped yourself off. So I assume you had your clothes. Do you know if he kept any?
No,
Have you had sexual intercourse now that you're an adult?
Judge, I'm gonna object to the relevance.
Sustained.
Do you know what sexual intercourse is?
yes, I do.
What is it? Basic sexual intercourse, what is it?
A man and a woman. Sexual intercourse is when a man inserts his penis into a woman's vagina.
Very good, thank you. Pass the witness.
Just a few questions, Judge. All of these instances that happen to you, you want to remember them?
No, I do not.
So is it fair to say that some of your memory as far as it relates to dates are not the best?
Yes, you could say that.
Are there instances you remember more than others?
Yes,
I want to go back to, after you told your uncle what happened. You remember having to have a physical examination of your body?
yes, I do.
And can you just describe for the jury what that process is like?
It was very hard. The doctor first told me what what she would be doing, what she was checking for, exactly why I was there. I didn't want her looking in the places she was looking.
So, you talk to the doctor and you tell the doctor kind of what happened to your body, right?
Yes.
And then she physically looks at your body.
Yes.
Does she look at your vagina?
Yes, she does.
Does she look at your anus or what you call your butthole?
Yes, she did.
Does she look inside them?
Yes.
Was that a comfortable experience?
No.
Did you want to have to do that?
No.
Did you understand the importance of it though?
Yes, I did.
As far as him putting his penis into your butthole, do you recall if that's happened more than once?
Yes.
Do you have a good memory of those instances?
I'm sorry, I asked for clarifications, the memory that she understands well, or that it was something
This is
enjoyable.
I think you can ask that as cross-examination, Judge. Not legal judge.
You could- Do you have your next question?
I have my next question. Thank you.
Okay, so,
I'm past.
I'm sorry.
I haven't passed yet. Out of the 3 houses that you lived at with Mario, let's go through them. State's Exhibit 5. When you were living at this house, did he ever put his penis inside your butthole?
Yes.
I'll show you what's been admitted. State's Exhibit number 4. This is, I'm sorry, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go with 6. This is, I'm always forgetting these. This is Valerie's house or Johnson's?
Johnson.
Johnson. When you were living at the Johnson's house, did he ever put his penis in your butthole?
Yes.
And then finally, State's Exhibit number 4, this is the Meadow address, right?
Yes.
Did he ever put his penis in your butthole at this location?
No.
Did he ever touch any part of your body while you were living at this location? Meaning, did he ever touch your vagina, your breasts, or your anus?
No, sir.
Did he ever put his fingers inside of your vagina?
No, sir, not that I can remember.
He just touched the outside of your vagina with his fingers, right?
Yeah.
I'll pass those.
Sandy, the prosecutor asked you about a good memory. What does a good memory mean?
When I can recall.
Thank you. Is Mario Morales the only person that has sexually assaulted you in your life?
Judge, I'm gonna object to the relevance.
It's relevant.
How's it relevant, counsel?
If there's more assaults, she knows about what they are. There might be physical evidence of those opposed
Right.
to my
The
client.
objection will be overruled. You can answer the
Okay.
question.
The question was, is Mario Morales the only person who has sexually assaulted you in your life?
Yes.
I have no further questions for you then. Thank you.
State.
Just kind of going back, I want to clear up one thing. As far as like years and dates and things like that, is that to the best of your memory?
No, sir.
Okay. And what I mean is, your testimony, that's the best you're remembering, right?
Yes,
Okay. So there might be some discrepancy in the dates. Is that fair to say?
yes.
Is there any question that any of these things actually happened to you?
I'm sorry.
There's no question in your mind that any of these things that Mario did to your body, right?
No, there's no question.
I'll pass this.
Okay, I'm now confused again. Are you saying you weren't 8 years old in 2011 and things happened to you from Mario?
I'm sorry.
Are you saying you weren't 8 years old in the year 2011 and Mario sexually assaulted you?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
So you do understand some dates and times? Yes.
I'm sorry, the question is confusing.
I think I'll let it lie. Thank you.
I have no further questions for this.
I have that.
Oh, I thought you were sorry.
No further questions. I pass.
I have no further questions. Judge.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
I'd like her subject to recall, please.
All right. The rule has been invoked. That means you can't discuss your testimony with anyone except for attorneys for the state or the defense. Just make sure you're available if anyone wishes to recall you, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. You may step down. State, are you prepared with your next witness?
Yes, Judge.
All right, call your next witness.
They called Brenda Mora. She just stepped to the bathroom, Judge.
Okay.
Just give her a couple.
Sure. Oh, and I forgot to tell you yesterday, if you ever need a break, just do the break sign. And either I will see you or one of the attorneys or one of the deputies. All right, so state, call your witness.
They called Brenda Mora.
If you'll take a seat here, please. Would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Are you going to lower your hand? State your name for the record, please.
Brenda Mora.
All right, state.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Mora, do you have any kids?
I do.
And is Sandy one of your kids?
Yes.
What's Sandy's date of birth?
October 21st, 2003.
You know a person by the name of Mario Morales?
I do.
And how do you know Mario Morales?
I was married to him.
Do you see Mario Morales in the courtroom here today?
I do.
Can you point at him and identify him by a piece of paper?
I can.
What's he wearing? What checker shirt?
A plaid shirt.
What color?
It's like blue, white.
May the record reflect that this witness has identified the defendant. Ms. Mora, do you know what year you were married to Mario? What year you got married?
2010.
And are you divorced from him now?
I am.
And what year were you divorced?
Divorce finalized in 2014.
Are you aware of what your Sandy outcried as far as what has happened to her?
Yes. Not in detail or entirely, but yes.
Fair to say that was in 2019?
Yes.
So that was about 5 years after you got divorced from Mario?
Yes.
When y'all got divorced, did y'all have any property, like houses that y'all owned together?
No.
Any cars that you owned together?
No.
Any like accounts that y'all owned together?
No.
So was the divorce pretty painless and easy?
Yes.
In fact, you didn't even he didn't want to be necessarily, he waived his right to be present even for it, right?
Correct.
So as far as standing is concerned, I want to show you what's already been admitted. It states exhibit number 7. Is it fair to say that's what Mandy looked like when she's about 8 years old?
Yes.
When you met Mario, did you at that point know that he was a sex offender?
No,
When did you learn that information?
months later.
Did you know it prior to marrying him?
Yes.
In hindsight, not the best idea.
Objection sidewalk.
That'll be overruled.
Correct.
Correct.
When you were with Mario, and you were married with him, did you live at multiple addresses with him?
We did.
And you knew he was a sex offender. Did you know that he had to register at the address that you were living at together?
Yes,
Did you ensure his compliance with that,
I did.
at least while you were married?
Yes,
And so during this period of time, when he was registering, those were addresses that you were living at together, right?
yes.
I'm gonna show you what's already been admitted. As it's exhibit number 6. Do you recognize that location?
Yes.
And do you remember the address of that location?
I want to say, I know the street name for sure. I don't recall the number. It might have been 85 something Timberwolf.
Okay, so this is the Timberwolf address.
Yes,
And at this address, did you live at this address with Mario Morales?
yes.
Do you remember what year you lived with him at that location?
That was 2011 to 2012.
I'm gonna show you what's already been admitted as state's exhibit number 3, which is his sex offender records. So here's that in July of 2010, he registered at the 8534 Timberwolf Drive. Is that the same the address that's in?
Yes.
6?
Yes,
Okay. So I know we're asking you about 12 years ago, but would this be inaccurate about 2010 that y'all moved in there together?
yes, I would.
Okay. So, and y'all resided at that location together, right?
We did.
Did you eventually move from that location?
We did.
I'm gonna show you what's already admitted in state's exhibit number 5. Did you live with Mario at this house that's depicted in state's exhibit number 5?
Yes,
Do you remember what street that was located on?
Clearwater.
Clearwater. And did you move to this location after you had moved from the Timberwolf?
Yes,
And when you were living at this house, did you make Mario register?
yes,
So from the records, again, what's already been admitted in state's exhibit number 3, August 4th of 2021 at 7318 Clearwater Street. Is that roughly around the same time he would have moved into that address?
yes,
And talking about both the Timberwolf address and the Clearwater address. Did Sandy live with you and Mario at those locations?
She did.
Finally, I'm going to show you what's been admitted as state's exhibit number 4. Did you live at this house with Mario and Sandy?
I did.
And do you remember what street this was on?
That is Meadow Trace.
And do you remember approximately when y'all moved in there?
September 2012.
And are you on? It's already been admitted, it states exhibit number 3. We see on September 20th of 2012, living at 8906 Meadows Trace Street.
That's
Is that,
correct.
is that approximately the time y'all moved in there together?
Yes.
Did you always live at the 8906 Meadow Creek location with Mario?
No, he moved out shortly after we moved in.
Okay. And at that point, did y'all separate?
We separated in January of 2013.
Okay. And then once you separated, did y'all ever move back in together?
No,
And so at that point, did Sandy see or see Mario at around that time?
not after that, no.
Were there times where Sandy and Mario were left together and you were not there?
Yes.
When would that be?
Well, I worked during the day and during the summer, so he would watch the kids.
So plenty of opportunity for him to do these things to Sandy, right?
Yes.
As far as Mario is concerned, you know about how old he is?
I do.
You know his birthday?
I do.
When is his birthday?
September the 9th, 1976.
And so fair to say between let's go even earlier, 2010 to even today, he's been over the age of 17.
Yes.
So again, you didn't learn about what Sandy had gone through with Mario until 2019.
Shortly before that, actually.
Okay, when?
Probably be about a year prior to that.
Okay. And how did you find out?
She told my brother-in-law, and my brother-in-law told me.
Okay. Eventually, did y'all report that to police?
We did.
Okay. Was there a delay in telling police?
There was, because she did not want anybody to know what had happened to her.
Okay. So eventually, 2019, when it's reported to police, that is when, that's when she was ready to finally come forward.
Yes.
I'll pass the witness.
Defense,
Hi, I'm Anton.
you good?
Hi, I'm Anton. I represent Mario Morales, so you know. Why is your last name Mora right now? Have you gone back to a different name or got remarried?
I remarried.
So your brother-in-law was the first alleged outcry witness for Sandy.
Yes.
We don't know what the outcries were. That's not important particularly. Did Sandy and Sandy never made a specific outcry to you, did she?
No.
Was she a bashful child growing up?
I wouldn't really say bashful, but she was kind of to herself a lot. She was more reserved.
Reserved. And was she taking any sort of medication, Adderall, literal, whatever those are for?
I'm going to object to the relevance.
That'll be overruled.
She was on medication, yes,
For what?
for ADHD.
And was she troublesome as a
No,
child? Troublesome at school?
no,
What about your? And you had Mario pick up or babysit all three children, is that correct?
yes,
And he would pick up, I guess, whichever ones are appropriate from school
yes,
sometimes. And did you have any concerns back then?
no.
Can you think of any reasons why your children, especially Sandy, wouldn't tell you something odd was happening?
No,
And did you keep all the brushes for the children in your bedroom?
I did.
Was that because you did their hair?
Yes,
Did your children have open access to your bedroom then?
they did.
So there was no outcry back in 2013.
No.
All right, no further. No, sorry. Yeah. I'll pass the witness.
I just want to make sure I have one thing clear on the timeline. As far as when she outcried in 2018, you had already been divorced from Mario for 4 years already, right?
Yes,
And had not seen Mario in 4 years.
that is correct.
So in 2018, when she outcried, you didn't have access to it.
No,
I'll pass the witness.
No further questions.
All right, is this witness excused or subject to recall?
From the state, she can be excused.
I think she can be excused.
All right, the rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. Only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state and defense. Do you understand?
yes.
All right, you may step down. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our lunch break now. So we will be back at 1:30. You've heard some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to discuss it amongst yourselves. You're not allowed to start deliberating about it in your mind. I will let you know when it's time for you to deliberate. Make sure that your badges are displayed so that people will know you on the jury and will not discuss anything around you. I don't expect this to be in the news or anywhere else, but if it is, or if you hear anything, turn it off. Don't listen to it. Do not do any research. Do not do any type of investigation on your own. Everything that you need for this trial will come from inside the courtroom. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
All right. So I don't have any docket this afternoon, so we'll start back at 1:30, and I see you've met Deputy Laura. All right. So everyone, please rise for the